What's happening, everybody? Sean Daniel with Guitar Control here, and today we are going to talk about rocking out an acoustic version of the classic Zombie song by the Cranberries, one of the best zombie songs ever made in the history of zombie songs. So it's really only 4 chords, and what I urge you to do is to sign up for a course that I made on how to play pretty much any song you'd ever want to learn with only 10 chords. These are 4 of the 10, so I think it's really interesting. Maybe just, sign up to learn a little bit more about it. You don't have to buy anything, but I want to get right into this song. 4 chords, like I said, but there's so much that we can do with it because really the chords and the arrangement of it and the way we're going to do it is going to sound kind of like this. So there are 4 chords that I'm sure you might even already know, but the way we're playing them is going to kind of create a darker atmosphere and a darker tone to try to take the spirit of the song and make it an acoustic version, which I think is something that you always want to be thoughtful about whenever you're playing a band song or an electric song and acoustifying it for performance, right? E minor, the most zombie chord of all the chords. It just sounds like if a zombie were to play guitar, E minor would be the chord they'd probably start with. So really just middle finger to A, ring finger to D. That's all you need to do. You can use different fingers if you want, but that's what we got going, okay? Now, we're gonna get to playing it open, where you strum all 6 strings, but I wanna start off kind of pulling it back a little bit for like a... Okay, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna palm mute this chord. So when I say that, you're gonna take the side of your hand, kind of judo chop the bridge. So instead of getting a wide open E minor, we're gonna get a muted zombie E minor, all right? We got 2 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. A bar being a 4 count, okay? Now, the way you can do this is to kind of make a pulse. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, where everything is even, we're going to create a little bit of a driving atmosphere. And one of the ways you can do that is if you notice my pick, and you can do this with your fingers or however you want to do it. On the 1, I'm getting more strings, I'm getting a little more volume. And then on the 2, I'm hitting just the low E string. So I'm getting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And because that first beat has a little more oomph to it, it's kind of creating an atmosphere where the unstoppable nature of a zombie is just approaching. So it's a little bit darker, and that sounds a lot different than like that, right? So these kind of dynamics, these different techniques are really important, and you're playing even in a simple 4-chord song. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now the next chord is going to be C major. Before we get there, on the second count of 3, I want your pinky, which is kind of a free agent right now, to hit the 3rd fret on the low E string, which is a G. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? So it's almost like a little riff. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, but over a chord. Okay? Just that little bit, that one note, I think makes a lot of difference, and really kind of, like if you're just playing an E minor, no one really knows what you're playing, but if you play it like this, people will be like, oh, that's zombie. That's definitely, part of the guitar riff that I'm used to hearing from that song, okay? So after that, we're gonna go to a C major chord. Probably already know this one. Ring finger 3A, middle finger 2D, open G, pointer finger 1B, open E. But we're gonna do the same thing. We're still gonna palm mute a lot of it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and to kind of keep that dynamic going. So now we can also add different notes. I think one thing that's kind of cool to do here is if you actually don't play a full voiced C major, you can always just play a piece of it. And again, that's something that I really refer to in that class a lot, is instead of going full voiced C major, do something a little bit easier, like your middle finger on 3A and your pointer finger on 2D. Because then you have more options on how you can play it, right? So the way I just did that right there is now since my middle finger is leading with the root note, my pinky's free again, just like it was in the first riff, to be here. To maybe hit the 5th fret on the A string, which is really the same as the open D string. You could do like that. I think it sounds cool like that. So again, in the same spot as the E, 2 and 3 and 4 and C and 2 and 3 and 4 and G to D. Again, those are the only chords we need. E minor, C, G, D. Super simple progression that maybe, I'm sure you've probably already played these chords before, but there's so much more that you can do with them just by different techniques, different variations of the chords, right? So when we go from this C to this G, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and I'm using that pinky again to get a 3E, 5E, a G to an A, bum, 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 to kind of get more of like, you know, the guitar and what the bass is doing in the original version of the song, which again, I think it just makes it more interesting and it's a lot more fun to play than just jamming on E, C, G, D all over again, okay? So from the top, we've got E minor, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, 4, D. Now you're like, this isn't a D chord. That's no D chord I've ever seen. A lot of times you go here for a D chord, right? Well, when we're doing a heavy, heavy song like this, sometimes a D major chord can seem a little too high voiced, a little puny, a little weak. This is about a zombie. This isn't about like a lame vampire or some crap like that. Zombies deserve a lower voiced D chord. So if you see here, the highest one I'm playing is the 2nd fret on the E string, which is an F sharp, which is the same thing as the 2nd fret on the low E string. But a lot of times when we hit the F sharp as a root note, as a bass note in a D chord, it has a bigger impact. So this chord and this chord are the same thing, but in context, they can sound a lot different. So I'm playing this D major chord as 2 on the low E string, open A, open D, 2 on the G string, ring finger, on the D string, and that allows me to get more of a lower tone of a chord that I can go leads into an E minor a little bit better, in my opinion. Again, this is just one arrangement. You could totally just rock out a regular D major chord. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just good to know your options of maybe a different D chord that you can do. And now another thing is you don't have to do this the whole way through. We play this live in a lot of the shows that I do around town, and you want to kind of take, since it is a repetitive progression, there aren't changes in the arrangement of it. You want to maybe make changes in the way that you play it. So maybe like the first time around for the verses, because again, you know, when it hits the chorus, it gets really powerful. For the verses, maybe bring it down. And when I say bring it down, palm mute it aggressively. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and low. And then maybe you can get a little bit louder. And the way you do that when you're palm muting is you just like let off a little bit on the bridge, and then the volume kind of comes up with you. And then by the time you're in the chorus, you can really just go straight on to the main open cowboy chords. And this is where even that regular D major chord can shine, okay? So I think this is a great example of a song that is simple, but very fun to play, and the way that you can make it fun is by incorporating a lot of different techniques. So a really great song to practice, something that is super, super easy conceptually to learn, E minor, C, G, D. But a way that you can start incorporating a lot of different techniques onto an acoustic guitar to make it a cool, you know, zombie-filled, fun party and impress your friends. So hopefully you learned a little bit about acoustic guitar arranging and playing. And definitely, if you think this is cool, if you kind of like the vibe of these lessons, check out the class that I made. Just get some information on it because I think it's pretty cool. And if you have any questions or comments or feedback, hit us up in the comment section and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Thanks a lot.